All right, let's see if we can make this our last video where we will add the text on here to complete this design. So let's just go top to bottom, starting with Athens State Community Band. To add text in Canva, go to text on the left, and from there you'll have different options. And we're not going to worry about these other buttons. Let's just add a text box. And from there, it's going to do just that. It's going to add a text box and you can start typing. We'll put it in all caps, Athens State Community Band. So I clicked on return or enter to get it to be 2 lines. And just like Word or Google Docs, it has the same kind of controls to make changes to how your text is laid out, your text properties. So in this case, we want to make it right aligned. So one of your options is alignment. So if you click on it, it'll take you through the different alignments. Keep clicking on it until you get to right alignment to where your text looks like this. Now, one thing, and maybe you know this trick, but one thing about Canva is that, yeah, let me undo that, is not that easy for me to move the text. I pretty much just have to resize it to get it positioned where I think it should go. But otherwise, it wasn't as easy as moving the images. So just kind of click and drag until you get it to where you think it should go. So I remember, we're not trying to go for an exact replica of this design. We're just trying to do something that looks like it. Now, one thing to keep in mind as we're adding text on here is to be consistent with the brand. That includes the font that we will use along with the colors. And under brand resources, one of your options is to look at the Athens State University brand guidelines. And in this PDF, if you scroll to page 21, it tells you the fonts to use. So it's Brandon, which looks like this, or there's Acumen Pro, which looks like this, and then there are 2 other fonts on there. And then it also tells you the colors to use. So in this case, it's telling us to use PMS 280 for this one, PMS 282 for this, PMS 1235 for that. So there's that. Now, here's where the limitation comes in. We are just practicing, so it's okay as long as you keep in mind that when you are working with your brand to try to stay consistent. And we'll do that as best as we can given the resources that we have. For example, in our case, you might not have Brandon or Acumen Pro. So I already tried this out before adding the text. It's not one of my options. I did a search and I could certainly try to find it so that I could upload or install into my system, but let's not worry about that. Let's just say that if you were really working on a client's project to create something for them and you don't have the font, then it would be that client's responsibility. Or you could make arrangements, right, to see if they could provide that font for you or for you to purchase that if necessary. So you do want to ensure in a real world application that you are using the exact font. Now, in our case, Canva Sans should work just fine. And if you look at our design here, it's bold and italic. So let's go ahead and do the same for ours. Choose Canva Sans. And then on the left, if you expand it, one of your options is to make it bold. And then up here in the menu, the ribbon, one of your options is italics, so that you could get it to look like that. And then to change the color, yeah, okay, we could try to figure out PMS 280. So that would be text color right here. we could try to figure out, if we add a new color, what its hex value is. But for this exercise, we don't have to try to do that because we could just use a sampler right here and we'll pick a color from our design because we used the Athens State logo. So we could just sample that blue. So again, I clicked on this eyedropper thing, sampler, and I'll click on the blue part of the logo. And then from there, if you look at my text, it's that same blue now. Okay, so one thing that I should note and remind you is, right, you're watching a video. And so if you didn't catch that, then it would just be a matter of rewinding, right? So that you could watch it again. And then if you truly get stuck, well, please feel free to reach out to me. All right, so the next part is we will add a separate text box to add in Spring Concert. So that's one of the tips and tricks I have for you is when you're creating a document that has different text elements on there, my recommendation is to create separate text boxes so that you can manipulate those independently. So in our case, we're going to create a separate text box for Spring Concert, a separate one for free registration, and then this box right here would be separate from the text box that's going to go on top of it. Okay, so the next one we want to do is Spring Concert. So add a text box, and this one is all caps. So let's change that to Spring Concert. We'll make it right aligned. And we'll go ahead and this might not work that well. Okay, so it looks like it would work best if we just keep it separate, like so. See, if you recall from just a few seconds ago, Spring and Concert was too far apart. And oh, wait, it looks like I could mess with it here. Okay, well, bear with me here. I kind of didn't practice this part, I was winging it to make it more authentic. Let's go back to that. See if I could get it closer. Okay, cool. Learned something new today. I mean, it has a lot of similar functionalities as the Adobe products, so it's just a matter of realizing that it could do the same thing. All right, so it looks like I managed to move that actually. So I don't know what was up with this one. Oh, okay. Um, I just learned this today. I just click and drag it and it moves. So that would make my life so much easier. Okay, so do the same there. So we don't have to keep doing this till it's in the right spot. We could just go like, ooh, click and drag. Good to know. So now I'm just kind of moving things around as I'm trying to get things to fit. So just get yours to kind of look something like this, to where you have Athens State Community Band Spring Concert. So I did a lot of movement there, but just go ahead and do what you got to do to get it to fit kind of like this. I mean, it's close enough. And for this one, we want to change the color. So we'll go to the text color icon there, click on add a new color, and use the eyedropper to sample this color right here. So again, there's no need to try to figure out the hex value. So when I say hex value, I mean this one with the hashtag and the different characters following that. We don't have to try to figure that out because we have a color from the design that we added on there, from the graphic that we added on there. All right, the next thing I want to do is add a rectangle like so. We'll just add that there. And then from there, and you know what? I'll just do this to keep the video shorter, but for you all, I'll let you finish this. So I showed you how to add a shape. I just went to elements and then chose the shape, in this case a square, that I turned into a shape that kind of looks like this. So here's the design again. So then now what you want to do is add a text box on top of that and have it say Saturday, comma, May 11th, and then all that other information. And then right below that in a separate text box, type in free registration on Humanitics. So one thing to pay attention to is to make this line black and this text right here on top of the blue bar, make that white text. And then when you're done with your design, your last step would be to click on share, download, and then choose ping as your file type, and then click on download. And once this ping file downloads, that's what you can submit, among other things, with your assignment 3. And other things to include in your submission, in addition to the design, would be a text entry submission where you tell me that you have looked at all the instructions I have on here. So you have the background information about this particular project. And then if you have any questions, this is where you could do that also. All right, that's what I got for this video tutorial. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.